Okay, so let's open this box up. See everything that we get inside. Okay, so that is everything. These are your directions, but I will show you how to use this once we get everything together. So you get 2 tape measures. So, pretty neat. I believe that is in centimeters, if I read that correctly. Yeah, so this is your assembly package. A bunch of different bolts and tools. These are your joining plates. And then these are each one of your alignment pieces. And this is really good for doing toe in and toe out. You could also get a second set, and you could do a 4-wheel alignment with these by setting these up on the back as well as the front, and then you can run a line straight to the front, and then you can have that set up that way. So let's take a closer look at the directions here. So that is your joining plate, and we're going to have each one of these pieces come down. So I believe that's how we're going to have that set up. And then this one is going to be mirrored for the other side. And then this is your connector plate, which goes right there. And make sure they have that nice and squared up. And then you have your little Allen key hex wrench. Then these are each one of your bolt pieces. So we are going to put one down here at the bottom. And then we are going to have our little washer. And then that's going to fit onto here. Okay, keep that nice and flat and square. Okay, so I ended up having to remove my brake caliper because it was sitting here. So what was happening was the alignment plate was kind of like sitting at an angle because my brake caliper was sitting there. So I had a bad angle on this. So I took the brake caliper off, and then now I can mount this nice and straight and level as I can. So what you are doing is you're taking 3 lug nuts, and then one is here, and then I have it locked in against this edge here because that's how I have it on the other side. So we'll get that, make that snug, and then same thing on this one. And then your third one is basically just kind of holding. You can even add a 4th one if you have this kind of configuration, but you want to make them snug, and you want to make sure that your brake caliper, your brake rotor rather, is not going to move. So this is nice and tight. And again, you don't have to like air wrench that down or anything else like that. But then in essence, what you're doing is you're taking your tape measures, and you're setting them here, and you're pulling it through to the other side. And I'll show you what it kind of looks like when it's hooked up over there. But that's going to give you an idea of how you are going to set your alignment plates up. And then I'll give you another view in a second. Okay, you want to make sure you have your steering wheel absolutely straight, and then you have one of these, not included in the kit, but this is a steering wheel lock. So basically what you're doing is you're kind of moving this down, and then you want to double check how straight your wheel is, and then that will hold that into place for your alignment. Okay, so everything is basically buttoned up, tightened down. So we have these lugs nice and tight. I have the tape measures in place, which is a little tricky to get into place, but if we look over here, so you're seeing 162 roughly, and then over here you have, it's kind of like 163. So the wheel is absolutely straight, so there is a 1/2 centimeter if you want to divide it up. So you have 1/2 centimeter on the left side, 1/2 centimeter on the right side. So that is going to give you your toe in. This is from the factory, and everything is basically set. I don't have like really rough terrain, nor have I brought the vehicle in rough terrain, and I have about 20,000 miles on it. So it is a possibility that this alignment is off. So what I'm going to do is I am basically going to loosen up the tie rod, which the bolt is right there. I'll demonstrate, or the nut rather, I'll demonstrate how that is done, and then we'll get this absolutely straight, and then I will do probably a little bit slighter of a toe in, so kind of give you a better straight angle there. And my delusion is it is like spot on, 1/2 centimeter on each side is probably factory set. And what that does is that will help you ride more center, and I'll explain that visually more in a second. But so one thing you want to make sure too is on these tapes, you want to kind of like pull them back, make them taut, and then have it spring. And then you want to have it straight. So see where that edge is right there. You want to make sure you have that straight. And then on the other side, so this is the other side. So see how the tape is sitting in that edge right there. And then right on that edge right there. That's so you have that perfectly lined up. And again, on this side, I have the 3 lug nuts here. And I have it pretty well straight. And again, that's my brake caliper that I had to take off and put up in the air, just so everything is nice and straight. So this part will be hard to show you, so I'll show you a visual demonstration of what I do with the tie rods so you can straighten that up. But what we are going to do is basically zero it out. And what I mean by that is we are going to make sure that these are going to be exact. So my delusion is once I straighten this out, I'll have it at probably like 162.5 and probably 162.5 here, so we can get that pretty well straight and lined up. Okay, so kind of give you an idea, this is the where you place the first wrench and then a second one, and you want to break this locking nut, and then after that you'll be using this part here to basically crank down on the inner tie rod to push in or out depending on what you need alignment wise. And I had completed this already, so let me get this straight here. But we had set up so instead of having a 5mm and a 5mm toe in, which I thought was a little extreme, I softened it up to basically 3mm, and what I did was I basically had everything straight and equal, so that then I could move this in. So I moved this tie rod in first, a little bit at a time, and then I moved the other side in a little bit at a time, and I'll show you how that works. So 1mm adjustment on either side till I got the 3. So I have a little bit less than I assume what the factory has set up as a toe in. And so basically, if you have 2 straight tires, I'm going to try to do this as best as I can. This is extreme, but this is what a toe in is. And what that does is it makes your vehicle kind of like drive in a straight line. Toe out would be this way, and you get uneven tire wear. As well, if you had this too extreme, would be uneven tire wear. An alignment could be off, and then if it was like this, your car would pull to the left. If it was like this, your car would pull to the right. So I hope that kind of better explains that. I changed my gloves to orange, so it's better visually pleasing. So again, a toe in, this is an extreme angle, but it's like this, but it's usually very, very slight, 2 to 3 millimeters on either side. half 5mm I thought was a little too much for me. I wasn't getting any tire wear, but I like it to be a little bit, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. So honestly, if I could achieve 1 and 1, I'd probably do that, but that is like, it was tight. I got more like, it's probably between 2.5 and 3mm on either side, so that gives us that arrow effect per se. So but yeah, I mean, with this kit, made it very easy to do. Now there's going to be a lot of people that will say, depending on your suspension, load bearing does play a little bit of a factor on this. So this is going to get you about as good as you can get it at home. When they do an actual alignment, it's load bearing, meaning that they have the tire on, the full weight of the vehicle is up on the suspension, which will give you a true alignment. But if you have to replace like a tie rod, inner or outer at home, at least you can get your alignment, your toe in, to the point where the vehicle is safe and is not going to cause any type of weird tire wear on you until you can get like an actual 4-wheel alignment. But honestly, I've done alignments like this before, and it, you know, pretty much works great. The only difference is what I do is on the rear wheels, when I have this setup done, is I will have another one of these on the rear wheels, and then I'll tie a string, run it along, and make sure that I have it straight front and rear. And then I make sure, because otherwise, if you just use this, you can have both wheels tracked this way, both wheels tracked that way, which will make your vehicle not run completely straight, but again, it will get it pretty close. If you get another set, you can put them on your rear wheels, and then you can, like, I use a red piece of yarn and I run it straight up, and you want to get that in basically a straight line, or you can use like a laser level and run it down this as well. Get that straight front and rear, and then you can work your toe in from there. But I hope this gives you a pretty good representation of how to use this. Now let me show you how a tie rod works. So this is your tie rod. So basically this is going to go towards your steering rack on the inside of the vehicle. This is going to be your lower control arm, basically like your knuckle that your rotor and everything attached to. So that's this piece right here. And then basically this is your locking nut, and I'm going to put that a little bit closer to the edge so you can kind of get an idea of how this works. So what you're doing is you would be turning your tie rod this way, basically clockwise if you're looking at it straight on. And what this will do is this will push your tie rod out this way. So that would give you kind of like a toe out if you wanted to kind of give that as an example. If you turn it this way, so that locking nut is going in towards that, what happens is it's pulling it this way. So this would give you your toe in on this side. So depending on which way you turn it, and basically what I do is I typically break this nut loose, not break it, but break it loose, and then I can kind of get a representation of which way I'm going by how much, by how far that nut travels. So I hope that gives a better explanation of how your tie rod works. And again, this part attaches to your steering rack. This attaches to your knuckle part of your braking system. Your lower control arm, your upper control arm will be attached at the top. And then we go from there. But anyway, this set will definitely help get you situated in the right orientation, so you know which way that you have to basically turn your inner and outer tie rod. Basically, it's going to be your inner tie rod that does all the movement. Your outer tie rod basically is just there as a functional piece of your lower control arm and your knuckle. But I hope that explains everything better for you. But what a great set to help you get squared and centered and get your anyway, Brian from Garage Mahal, what a great set this was. It was great doing a toe in alignment on my vehicle. This made it super easy. But anyway, thanks for watching, and be safe out there.